Welcome back to Sunrise. More than half of voters have put the blame for soaring power bills on the Albanese government, with a new poll revealing that 53% of people either strongly agree or agree that Labor's renewables policies and timelines are pushing up costs. But support for the coalition's nuclear option isn't resonating either, with now 39% of voters believing it's unsafe and only 38% believing it would see power prices fall. For their take, let's bring in Housing Minister Clare and Nationals leader David Littleproud. Good morning to both of you. Clare, we'll start with you. It's not unusual for voters to blame the government of the day for high power bills, but are you worried about the public's perception of you guys going into an election?
Look, Nat, it's not the politics that concerns me so much as what's going on for households. And, you know, the cost of living is without question the number one issue for them, and that's why it's the number one issue for our government. With regard to energy, I think every Australian knows that we've got some real serious issues in our energy grid. And the way that we're focusing is trying to do everything we can to bring down power prices. So the elements of that are, you know, in part that $300 energy supplement that went out to households quite recently, something that unfortunately David and his colleagues tried to stop getting to your family. But another part of this is that transition to renewables. Renewables are the cheapest form of energy. The last thing we need right now is this crazy expensive nuclear policy that David and his colleagues have dreamed up. It's gone into witness protection recently. We haven't heard a lot about it, and that's because it's an absolute dog of a policy. $600 billion won't deliver any power into the grid until the 2040s, and even when it does, it's only going to help us with 4% of our power needs as a country. So whatever issues people are experiencing, please note, nuclear is not the answer for our country, and that's why our government is so strongly opposed to it.
OK, David, you're smiling. I think even people who are open-minded about nuclear do want to know the actual cost, because it feels like every study that's done tells us a different thing. So the cost and the timeline of when we will actually save on our power bills if you go ahead with nuclear, if you could.
Yeah, and look, Frontier Economics, who both the Coalition and Labor use, have clearly articulated that by going a mixed grid and transitioning some of those coal-fired power stations, 7 of them, across to nuclear power plants, will be 44% cheaper, $260 billion cheaper than an all-renewables approach. So it is cheaper over the longer term, because you don't have to build all the transmission lines and solar panels or wind turbines that need replacing every 15 years. So the reality is this will also be about 30 to 39% of the grid, not the 3% that Claire's talking about. Frontier Economics are a credible organisation that have looked at our plan and put it up against the all-renewables approach. There's not a country of the industrial scale the size of Australia that's going down the all-renewables approach. And what people are feeling is the lived experience of going down that path. But what we've got to do in the short term is actually flood the market with gas. And so nuclear is what we're saying we'll transition to in the short term, in the next 6 to 12 months, to get your power bill down and to get your grocery bill down, because food processors are paying 3, sometimes 4 times what they were 3 years ago. We've got to get gas in. That's the only energy source we can get into the grid quickly to give you hope. And that's the other part of our policy that we will be announcing more detail on very soon. But getting gas into the grid will be able to give you that hope. And, you know, the $275 that was promised is nowhere near it. We're seeing that the AEMO's saying it's now over $1,000, and we've got premiers asking to turn dishwashers off so you can keep the grid going. We've got to lean into the problem rather than giving subsidies, because ultimately your money runs out and you can't keep giving them.
Yeah, and look, people are sceptical, obviously, at this stage of both sides, so we need to sort it out and get a few more details. Let's move to housing, though. This is an interesting one. In a bid to encourage more retirees to downsize and free up some housing, the boss of ING has suggested we should cut the amount of stamp duty older Australians have to pay as an incentive. Clare, you're the housing minister. Is this something you would consider? This is as they downsize, the stamp duty they pay on the house they're downsizing to.
Look, Nat, the stamp duty taxes are a matter for state governments, but we have got a massive agenda on trying to address what are really serious issues that Australians are facing with housing in our country. We're trying to build more homes, 1.2 million homes with the states over the coming 5 years. We're helping renters get a better deal, and we're getting more Australians into home ownership. I really want to contrast that with the opposition. We're coming into an election here, and I want people to understand that Peter Dutton's set of housing policies are going to build fewer homes in our country, and they're going to make those homes more expensive, making the housing crisis even worse. So we've got a really clear choice here between Labor and Liberal this election, one that wants to take on the housing crisis and one that's going to make the problems Australians are experiencing worse.
David, just quickly before we go, what do you think about the cutting the stamp duty for the downsizers?
Yeah, I think it has merit. We do it for first home buyers. Why wouldn't we allow those that want to get out and downsize to have that stamp duty exemption? And our housing policy is pretty simple. We're going to control migration. We're going to bring the people in that can actually build homes, not dog groomers and martial arts instructors. This mob's actually said, and we're going to ban foreigners competing with you on a Saturday at an auction to give people hope and to buy time to build some more homes.
We've already done that.
Our policy's got 500,000 new homes.
Okay, thank you. We have to leave it there. We're out of time. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Here's Sheba.